Hi, my name is Krishna Teja Veturi and my net ID is XZ5486. Today in this tutorial, I'm going to talk about Node.js. Firstly, I'm going to give you a brief introduction about Node.js. Node.js is an open source cross-platform runtime environment for server-side and networking applications. Node.js applications are written in JavaScript, as JS means JavaScript. Node.js gives the features like event drive handler architecture and non-blocking input-output APIs. We're going to talk more about these features later in this tutorial. Node.js uses the Google V8 JavaScript engine to execute the code. This Google V8 engine is used in Google Chrome. This is one of the fastest engine. So that's the reason why Node.js is, while executing the code, it executes faster compared to any of the platforms. So let's talk more about Node.js. To understand Node.js, we need to know more about Node.js theoretically. Here is a screenshot that shows input-output latency of different memories. Here we have L1, L2, RAM, disk, and network. Here L1 and L2 are cache memories. These are the waiting times: 3 CPU cycles, 14 CPU cycles. It is increasing as you go to the network. The magnitude is increasing, the waiting time of I/O is increasing. Input-output compared to other operations that you do on the processor takes much longer. Let us consider an example. Theoretical request taken from the web server. In this example, in this picture, you find these green lines over here, here, and here. Okay, these are the actual time your app doing something. So these green lines are the actual time your app is doing something. The rest white space is nothing but waiting for I/O. So basically your application, most of the time it's just waiting and doing nothing. It's just waiting for the input output, and it's spending very less amount of time for handling the requests. If we want to scale that in a threading model, we have we have 4 threads which are handled concurrently. If we have any kinds of shared status, concurrency gets a lot more difficult. So if we want to handle lots of connections, we need lots of threads. So all these threads are mostly waiting, they are doing nothing. So mostly they are waiting for the I/O. So very little amount of time is spent for executing or handling the requests. So some of the platforms have tried to improve by using the processor. The difference between the processor and the thread is the memory. The memory in the processor is more compared to the thread, and the concurrency issue in this processor is being reduced or satisfied. So the main problem still remains the same. Even the processor waits a long time for the I/O, and they spend very less amount of time for handling the requests. So what Node.js actually does is it removes all the white spaces. The Node.js removes all the white spaces, pull them out, and it is delegated to internal thread loop and possibly asynchronous input-output APIs that can be used as an interrupt to call back into the system while it's delegating input-output paths in the waiting state. It can handle requests. It can handle other requests. So once this waiting for I/O is removed and put them in the thread pool or asynchronous APIs, input-output APIs, so the processor can handle other requests instead of just waiting for the input-output. So how the node functions. Before I have mentioned, the node has a feature of event drive architecture. So this is an event loop architecture, how the node actually works. So I'm going to explain more. Okay, in this event loop, when you start your program, so in this event loop, when you start your program, it will be sitting on the top of this queue. So when you start a program, it will be sitting on the top of the queue. Event loop comes around, and grabs something off the top of the queue and executes it. If there is an input output, it will get delegated to the thread pool or API in the operating system. Event loop will continue and grab the next thing of the event queue and executes that. If input output is found, and then the same thing is put in the thread pool. This thing repeats, and at some point the input output is done, the results are back, and it will then take those results and put back in the event queue. So once the input output is done, those results will come back and sit here in the event queue. This result become the another event queue, and event loop executes these results. It is a single thread loop, so entire thing is done in a single thread. Your event loop that controls all the interactions in the system, pulling the event from the queue. It might be your code executing callback from iOS. So now let us talk about Node.js platform. Node.js platform, there are 3 layers. All the node standard libraries at the top, which are API used for file system access, processing, stream, buffer, etc. This layer. The layer 2, node binding, is also a node code, but it's normally C++ native code, so binding to the operating system functional for input, output, etc. At the end, those are dependency that node has that are not written by the node, but they are node leverages. V8, Google JavaScript Engine, threadpool is in library called libio, libio, and event is in the library, event loop is in the library libev, and crypto and OpenSSL, DNS, and C area. So this is the theory of Node.js. So we have basically come to know what Node.js actually does. So we want to know the installation part. Node.js is an operating system independent. It can be installed in any of the operating systems like Windows, Mac, or Linux, etc. And basically most of the Linux operating systems are built in, so they are defaultly they have this Node.js. Okay, so as my system is Windows, I'm going to explain you how to install Node.js and Windows operating system. At first, we need to go to the original site, that is nodejs.org. So I'm going to type here nodejs.org. Okay, in this website there is an option called downloads, and it shows it is, and here Node.js is in, as we have said, Node.js is an operating system independent, so it can be installed in any of these. So you need to choose your platform, Node operating system, like 64-bit, minus 64-bit. You need to click it. So I'll get download over here, exe file. So you need to run this exe file or MSR file. Once it is installed, I've already installed in my laptop. So once it is installed, we need to verify whether it is installed properly or not. We can do this by opening our command prompt, cmd in this command prompt, as a screenshot, as I mentioned in the screenshot, we need to type node version. If we get a version like this, if a number is shown, then the Node.js is installed properly in your system. If it shows an error like there is no an internal or external command that says node version exists, then the Node.js is not installed properly in your system. This is the verification process. The verification process to know whether the Node.js has properly installed in your system or not. Programs. As I've said, Node.js is a server-side program as well. Usually JavaScripts are meant for the browser side. Now the Node.js, what it does is it can create a server. The first program which I've written over here is a program that creates a local server. The first line, var http request http, it is a function that requires http, and in this function http has a function create server. So for this function there is an object or an instance called listen. So when the server is created, it is listen at port number 8888. You can put whatever port number you feel like. And in this here, so first we need to type this code in any of your favorite editor, like I would like to open Node++. I'll just show you demonstration, control new. So in this thing, if we type entire code like this, control, oh, it's not supposed to, okay, control C, control V, so you're supposed to delete these numbers. Oh, so you're supposed to delete these numbers. Now this file is saved properly in, okay, where it is saved. If you open the command prompt, it says user/data-v2b, so we're gonna save at that point. So we're gonna save user and data-v2b. We're gonna save here as no, we're going to save it as example example1. Okay, dot. We have to save this in .js, Java server extension, .js extension. So you just have to be careful with that. So you're not supposed to. Okay, once it is saved, how to run this code? You need to open your command prompt and type node space file name example.js. Oh, there's an error. So when you actually run, okay, there's an error. When you, this is how you're supposed to run. So when you run that, here it says console log server is running. So the server is running is shown in the console, and the response right header and response end. This hello world is displayed on the browser. Okay, and here is a server static file, which is another program. Here we are creating a server on line 2, which is http create server function using create server function. Line 3 is executed and it will be done until the reading of the file is complete. After it is complete, the function defined on the line 3 is executed, which is then doing some error checking and waiting response. These things happens asynchronously, and all of these functions are handled by the event loop. these are the two basic programs. I just want to show you how they're run and how they're saved and how they're run and saved. Let's go to the features of Node.js. Features of Node.js is a multi-platform. It is independent of operating system, as I said earlier, and is lightweight as it is single thread. I've mentioned the entire thing runs like a single thread, so it is very light and weight, deadlock free. As there is only a single thread, there is no question arising about the concurrency or deadlock thing, as there is only a single thread. And monologue programming. A monologue programming means a same program which is written in the client side and as well as the server side. So usually in other cases, the browser side programmings are written in a different language, and the server side it's written in different language. So if a person wants to do browser side and or the client side and the server side, so he has to transfer from one language to the other language. There's a transformation has to be occurred, but in this Node.js there is no need of this transformation, as the client side and the server side uses the same program, which is JavaScript. And finally, references. Most of my references are from nodebegins.org. That is a very good place. You can learn more about the Node.js, and nodejs.org is an official site of Node.js. And this YouTube URL which I've mentioned, it is a class given by a lecturer about the Node.js. So I want everybody to watch this video if you want to know more about Node.js. And okay, that's it. Thank you and have a good day.